The FBI, they are investigating pipe bombs mailed to a number of Democrats in this nation, including President Barack Obama, former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, also former Attorney General Eric Holder, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and former CIA Director John Brennan. That was sent to CNN, even though he's a contributor on MSNBC. This follows yesterday a bomb being found in the mailbox of liberal donor George Soros. Of course, all of these folks, what do they have in common? They're Democrats and frequent critics of Donald Trump. And remember, it is Trump. He is often called Congresswoman Maxine Waters having dumb and low IQ. He has led the chance of lock her up of Hillary Clinton, and Republicans and Trump have gone after George Soros, blaming him for anything that happens on the left. Now, again, remember, John Brennan has been a serious critic of Donald Trump. But here's what we know and don't know. There is no known motive as to who is behind these pipe bombs. Folks on the right are already yelling and screaming, saying Democrats literally are doing this to ramp up their side to vote. Liberals are saying it's all about Donald Trump's rhetoric. Let me say this to the left and the right. Shut the hell up. You don't know who is behind any of these bombs. It is stupid. It is asinine to have a conversation right now about who is actually responsible for these bombs. We don't know if they are Middle Eastern. We don't know if they are Muslim, if they are white domestic terrorists. We don't know if they black, Asian, Latino. Nobody knows who it is. So my response to both sides, shut the hell up and let authorities do what they do to find out who is responsible for sending these packages, these unmarked packages, to these individuals. Now, Congresswoman Maxine Waters released this statement, quote, "I have been informed by U.S. Capitol Police that my Washington, D.C. office was the target of a suspicious package that has been referred to the FBI. I am appreciative of the law enforcement entities who intercepted the package and are investigating this matter. I unequivocally condemn any and all acts of violence and terror." Now, of course, Soros, the package was in his mailbox yesterday. Today, officials confirmed exactly what that it was actually a pipe bomb. This morning, when I was in New York to do Megyn Kelly's show, shortly after 10 o'clock, that's when word came out with regards to the package being found in the mailroom at CNN. NYPD cleared the building, moved everybody out as well. Then we found out that a package was delivered to the home of Bill and Hillary Clinton, as well as to the Washington, D.C. office of former President Barack Obama, and then later Attorney General Eric Holder. Initially, there was a report saying a package was sent to the White House. That was simply incorrect. And so, again, the FBI is investigating. Earlier today, Donald Trump at a ceremony at the White House that dealt with the opioid crisis, he addressed this issue as well. Sarah Huckabee Sanders sent out several statements as well. And so, again, we don't have any idea exactly who is behind this. My panel today, of course, joining me here is Dr. Julianne Malveaux, an economist and president emerita of Bennett College, also A. Scott Bolden, an attorney and former chair of the D.C. Democratic Party, and Monique Presley, principal of the Presley Law Firm. I wanted to say off the top, no one knows what the hell is going on because, again, you got folks on the right who are yelling and screaming, trying to say Democrats gin this whole thing up, and they're behind it. You got folks on the left who are saying it's Trump and his rhetoric. This reminds me of what took place with Congresswoman Gabby Giffords when she was almost assassinated in Arizona. People immediately went to the rhetoric of Sarah Palin and others, when in fact we found out it was a mentally deranged guy who had been targeting her. Look, I understand hyperpartisan. I understand there's an election in 13 days. But seriously, both sides should shut the hell up.
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely right about that, Roland. I think that there's so many things going on right now, nationally and internationally, that it could be anybody. It could be an international threat. It could be a domestic threat. I think it's really overreaching and adds to the vitriol when people decide, whatever the Republicans say, I don't pay them any mind, and the Democrats need to hold their fire.
Well, I don't disagree with you. But I do think that the vitriol on the political side for both Dems and GOP lends itself to this type of targeting simply because it may be misdirection, it may be the Dems, it may be the GOP, But the fact of the matter is that we're in political crisis in this country. For example, it could be the Russians. The foundation of political chaos that we've laid in this country lends itself to foreign laying this stuff out, or laying it out on Facebook or
Scott,
Twitter.
that's exactly why the Dems and the Republicans to keep it nonpartisan. It could be Russians, it could be Iranians, it could be anybody.
Right. And at the end of the day, Monique, we don't know. We of course, we know what happened last year when of course, some pipe bombs were being sent in Austin, Texas. It was several days before the FBI was able to track that individual down who actually blew himself up when they found him. I mean, look, you can criticize the FBI all you want to, but they're damn good at their job. Let them do their job before folks start speculating and laying motive when no one has any information whatsoever.
Postal Service,
but
too.
There's
It's really good.
Go ahead.
There are obvious causal connections, though. So it's one thing to say that we shouldn't speculate wildly. It's another thing to just notice that nothing was sent to the office of former President George Bush, either of them. It's obvious nothing was sent to Mitch McConnell's office. It's kind of obvious, that Clinton's, Obama's, and Maxine Waters and Eric Holder are people who are key targets of this president. So whether it's someone who is a supporter of Trump who is deranged, or whether it's the Russians who were using it, the causal connector that is obvious is that they identified the people who he targets the most. And that's not something that we can even debate. That's just clear on its face.
And I think, look, I think we could also, again, I think you could also have an analysis as it relates to, well, first of all, the CNN package was marked for John Brennan, even though he doesn't work at CNN. He's a contributor for MSNBC and NBC.
And what was the return address? What was the return address?
The return address for Eric Holder was Debbie Wasserman.
Debbie Wasserman.
They all had
Debbie Wasserman.
Right.
So there was misdirection.
That's right. So you have that. But the other thing that you also, I think, have here is like, look, when Donald Trump comes out and says we need to unify, first of all, you of all people, okay, now I can criticize that. Okay, because it's ridiculous to have him come out and say that when he has been the leading voice in his rallies. In fact, he has a rally tonight. The question is, what is he going to say tonight? What language will he use? Will he be so over the top? Last night, when he was in Texas, he said Beto O'Rourke, he should be in a jail cell. And so I would hope, out of all the people who are commenting on this, that he listened to himself. And for anything else, because again, when you're the president of the United States, how you behave also gives other people the right. Look, the story of the guy from Southwest Airlines who got arrested for groping a woman, and when he got arrested, he said, "Why are you arresting me? The president said we can grab a woman by her vagina."
Yeah, see.
Did he actually say that?
Yes.
Yeah, but
yes.
See,
I missed that story.
That was his.
Yeah, that was his response.
That was his. That was his response to why he did it.
And see, words matter, and you can't.
And actions matter.
You can't say that I have no responsibility for the manifestations of people who act on these words. Everyone doesn't intellectualize Donald Trump and have these very intelligent debates and take the president, whether it's for its worth or to say that he's obnoxious. On the other hand, you've got to be responsible for how others are processing your words, because there may be a handful who will take your words to heart and want to prove to themselves and to Donald Trump that they're serious about attacking these Democrats.
Well, there has been a decrease in civility since this man has been elected to public office. We have seen it.
Led by him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He's
But
uncivil.
we have seen this decrease in civility in our schools with little children chanting "Build a Wall" at their Latino classmates.
Right. Actually, that happened the day after the election.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he has empowered an incivility. And so, although, I do agree with Roland that we can't talk about the bombs, we do need to talk about the way that he has talked about body slamming journalists, giving kudos to that guy who did it, the way that he talks about Latino people, the way that he talks about us, even the way that he talked about Omarosa. No Omarosa fan here, but you do not call a black woman a dog. And so when you see these white women.
Or a woman horse face.
Exactly.
I mean, that's all promotes negative behavior.
You see these white women, though, then calling 911 on little black children. I believe that some of this behavior is motivated by someone who believes that people of color are inherently dangerous. So when a no-butted white woman, no booty, and she's going to say that a 9-year-old grabbed her non-booty, and calls 911 on the child. I mean, this is absurdity. But we see these cases again and again and again. It's only about the ability to demonize the black
But
body.
he gives license to it.
Well, that's-
he sends a message that it's acceptable, and that's hurting America. Whatever political party
Right.
you are,
And so
whatever
again,
race you are.
And look, first of all, he has no moral authority.
Right,
At the end of the day,
none.
Monique,
None whatsoever.
he has no moral authority. But this is also where it requires people in his own party to also check him, which they're frankly afraid to. Go ahead.
Leadership is influence. And what we've seen with this election is, like it or don't like it, this man who is the 45th president has influence. And he has utilized his influence in order to lead people down a path that, as you say, is dangerous for America. But when I look at his rallies, I try not to listen to the whole thing. I just want enough to know what is said. I prefer the transcript. It's not his words that bother me. It is all of the people behind him and in
The
front of
reaction.
him
Right.
cheering
Yeah. It's
about
cult-like.
Yeah.
those
It is
words.
cult-like.
That is what is dangerous.
but what
If
they've
you
done-
have one crazy man who's screaming to the rafters, lock her up, if you have one crazy man screaming lock her up and he gets 10,000
Thousands, yes.
other people to do it, knowing full well somebody out there is deranged enough to take the things
Well,
that he's saying
or could be.
seriously.
Final comment on this topic before I got to move on. Go ahead.
You know, when you've seen his rallies, you've seen him attack people. So he's given people permission to attack people. When the people at the rally during the election, he said I'll get you out of jail if you jack them up. That is incendiary.
Right.
That's incendiary behavior, which is unacceptable for a president of the United States.